A new political party in Australia is using the virtual currency Bitcoin as a model to replace what they say is an outdated political system, representative democracy. And they're going to streamline it with a new system for the information age. Sounds interesting. We've got Max from Flux with us. Max, first of all, for those out there who don't know, can you explain Bitcoin a bit?
So Bitcoin is a new type of money and a distributed ledger technology. That's just a fancy way of saying everyone knows all the account balances all the time. Now these aren't connected to people's identities, and so it's reasonably private as well. Since its inception in 2009, it's been growing consistently, and it's really put pressure on major financial institutions to upgrade their systems because of how competitive it is.
So how are you going to apply those principles to Australian politics?
So some of the lessons we take from Bitcoin are around the ways that economic systems can interact with different types of people in order to produce useful results. So we introduce a similar sort of system where we take Senate seats and we introduce them in a particular way in order to allow Australians to express themselves very specifically in the areas that really count to them.
How?
So, yeah, always with the how. So we're going to provide an app. Primarily, there'll be other technology interfaces as well. This app is going to be accessible, it's going to be free, it's going to be open source, and it'll allow people to directly interact with politics. There's several ways of doing this. The easiest way is to just delegate their vote to someone they trust, whether that's an expert in an issue they care about or a community organization. They can also save votes over time, which allows them to focus their energy on one particular issue when it comes up, or alternatively, they can vote on every issue if they want, or swap for issues that they care about on the particular day.
So how many votes do you get when you join?
So every individual gets one vote. There are some subtler elements to this system. For example, minor parties are allowed to join. They essentially get the number of votes that they gave us in preferences, and other MPs can also opt in at any time, and they get the number of votes that they're representing from their constituency.
But you get to vote on each issue, so it could be hundreds of votes every year.
That's true. Ultimately, that's not what we'd like people to do. Because voting on every issue is a very complex sort of enterprise, it means it takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of education. We'd rather people focus on the areas they really care about. And when given the opportunity to do that, we believe that that's what people are going to elect to do anyway.
Now, is it true that this entire political party was just a Facebook page?
No, our history goes a lot further back. More than half our members have been organically generated, with less than half coming from the Facebook advertising that we did. Ultimately, though, we needed to get our application in, we needed to bring this to as many people as possible, and so Facebook advertising was one of the ways that we chose to do that. Turned out to be very cost effective. Now our registration is in, and that's what really matters because we can contest the next election.
Now, how can you run on this platform when you haven't even built the system yet?
I've built several similar systems in my past over the last few years. Building the system isn't the hard part. The hard part is getting people on board, bringing in stakeholders, getting people to vote for us, and that's what we're focusing on at the moment, is communicating with minor parties, other organisations, and helping people understand exactly why this is such a great system.
Here at SBS, we are all for disrupting. We love it, but if you are really serious about bringing democracy to the people, why are you focusing on the minor parties?
The minor parties are a great opportunity for us to get 6 senators straight away. This gives us a real value that we can take back to the Australian people and build on. Now, without that, and without getting elected, there's no way that we can possibly add value and give something to Australians. So we're focusing on this partially because it's a way to get elected, partially because these are the Australians that have already put in the hard yards and want to participate, and also because it gives us the best chance to grow as fast as possible.
If the Prime Minister approached you, would you get in bed with him?
Absolutely not. I would ask when he's got time to come to Sydney, though.
It seems very Gen Y, and while we're all across it and want to jump on board, I can't imagine that my dad or my granddad would really get this concept. How are you going to make it accessible for older Australians?
So this is one of our chief concerns because democracy is for everyone. We're focusing on 2 layers here. Firstly, there's the hardware side to make it as easy as possible for people to be able to participate without passwords, without all this complex stuff that the internet usually involves. We're also going to distribute iPads and various tablets to places like public libraries and disadvantaged communities in Australia to make sure that everyone has a chance to participate with the lowest barrier possible.
What does the average Flux member look like right now?
That's a very difficult question to answer. We have an incredibly wide age gap. Or age bracket. A lot of our members are over 55, but we also have a lot of younger members. The one thing that everyone has in common, though, is they think politics is failing them, they want something better, and they're ready for change.
Do you think this is an easy sell?
No. It's difficult because this is a very technical system, and so to try and distill it down to a few key points is difficult because I'll go back to the start.
Yeah.
It's difficult because it's a technical system and because there's a lot of very subtle behavior. We're trying to make it as simple as possible for people to understand, but to understand this fully and in its full implications is quite complex. So we're working as hard as possible to try and make this simple, make it accessible, to make it intuitive, but ultimately there's still a lot of work ahead of us in that regard.
Membership is free, and you can join if you're a member of another political party, which you can't do in other political parties. You have to declare if you've ever been a member anywhere else. So what's stopping the Liberal Party from asking all of their members to sign up, and then they control the votes?
So firstly, they wouldn't control all of the votes if they were to try this anyway. Secondly, we want as many people to sign up. Again, we're pro-democracy. We're not about excluding people. We want people from the Liberal Party. We want people from the Labor Party. We want people from the Greens. Ultimately, what we hope to show is that once they join the system, they'll see how powerful it is, even for their own causes, and that will further draw more people in. So we're all about adoption. We're about bringing people in. It's not about exclusivity.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks.